garbage man, and a guy that goes,
Garbage Day!
Because seriously, instead of calling this movie The Tax Collector, it should have been called The Trash Collector, because it was trash! So The Tax Collector is out on VOD now. You can rent it on Amazon Prime, iTunes, all those VOD services where you can rent stuff. It's on there. It's written and directed by David Ayer, stars Bobby Soto and Shia LaBeouf. They work for this crime boss named Wizard, and their job is to go around in LA to a bunch of different gangs and collect their tax money, but then Wizard's rival gang from Mexico comes in, and one of these two guys' families gets threatened, and so now their lives are on the line. These guys are trying to figure out how to take these guys down. Seriously, this movie is just a hodgepodge of a mess. Holy shit. I mean, can you believe David Ayer, man? David Ayer fell so far from grace. Once upon a time, David Ayer wrote Training Day, wrote and directed End of Watch, wrote and directed Fury, wrote a movie called Harsh Times. Hell, I'll even throw Street Kings in there, because I like Street Kings. And I know a lot of people are very mixed on Street Kings, but I like Street Kings. Then he wrote and directed this movie called Sabotage, and it wasn't that great. It had a good performance from Arnold Schwarzenegger, but it was very convoluted. I was like, alright, you know, he's made some good movies in the past. Everybody trips up here once in a while. It's fine. Like, it happens. People make mistakes. And then he went on to write and direct 2016 Suicide Squad, and we're onto a pattern here. Because I was like, well, that's 2 in a row. Then he directed Bright. Honestly, anything David Ayer does now makes me question why I even liked Training Day, End of Watch, Fury, Harsh Times, Street Kings, all those movies in the first place. This is essentially the same movie that those movies are. He's making the same movie over and over again. It's like Michael Bay with the Transformers movies. Michael Bay was just making the same Transformers movie over and over again for 5 movies straight. That's exactly what David Ayer is doing here. Look, I don't hold a grudge against David Ayer or anything. Yeah, I don't really like the guy that much anymore. I feel like he's kind of an asshole in real life, but like, I'm not gonna sit here just because I dislike Suicide Squad, or actually, I shouldn't say dislike, hated Suicide Squad and hated his behavior before that movie was even released, and say anything David Ayer does sucks automatically just because it's David Ayer. It's like those idiots that were saying Knives Out sucked because it was Rian Johnson and he wrote and directed The Last Jedi. I'm not going to sit here and say that, but I mean, seriously though, David Ayer has had such a hard fall from grace. It's kind of embarrassing. This movie is devoid of any character development. This movie tries to make you care about one of the main characters because he has a family, but you just realize how much of a shithead this guy is. Same with Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf is a huge asshole. There's nothing to him either. He's kind of just there to be along for the ride. Like, he's just that tough, like, enforcer guy, but he doesn't really do anything. Every genre cliche David Ayer could think of is in this movie. Every plot twist he could think of is in this movie. There's a plot twist within the last 10 minutes of the movie where I literally muttered out loud to myself, "Are you serious right now?" Those exact words. David Ayer doesn't even bring the flair for the dramatic in this movie. He had that with Training Day. Even though he didn't direct it, he wrote it. He knew how to write dramatic scenes and intense scenes. That is not present here. He brought his flair for the dramatic into his writing for that movie, into End of Watch, and into Fury. And the other two, Harsh Times and Street Kings, he had it there, not as much as those 3. Those 3 are really the big ones. Everything since then, it just seems like, I hate to say this, especially with this movie though, but it just seems like he knows he fell so hard from grace that he's trying so hard to get noticed again. That's how I feel this movie is written, like just trying way too hard, but he's taking everything that doesn't make these type of movies work, and he's throwing them into this movie, every genre cliche you can think of, and he's not coming up with anything original because everything that's in this movie has been in all the movies he's made. It's really a strange conundrum here, and going back to those characters, Shia LaBeouf's character's name, Creeper, you kind of look at him and it's like, You would be a creep, wouldn't you? Look, I don't like getting into this stuff on my channel, but this movie also plays into a lot of racist stereotypes, misogynistic stereotypes. This is a type of movie that people want to watch and think is actually good. No wonder why I didn't think it was good. Like, you're trying to portray the seedy underbelly of LA crime and LA gangs, but it's not coming off as portraying them in a light that's positive. It's making them look worse. I really don't know what was going through David Ayer's head when he was writing this movie, and the directing is really his same directing style from his previous movies. He adds a bit of stylistic choices. There's one shootout, which honestly, the first half of this movie is really boring. Nothing really happens until the hour mark. And even then, by that time, I don't really care. I don't care about the characters. I don't care about what they're doing. This guy wizard that these two work for isn't even in the movie until the last 10 minutes of the movie. Any situation they're put in, I feel like the tension and the suspense isn't presented as well in this movie. But getting back to my point, there's stylistic choices that David Ayer makes. Like I said, there's a shootout when you get to about the hour mark. People get shot and then they just blow backwards with blood flying out of them in slow motion, and then it'll cut to slow fast-mo, and then slow-mo, and then slow fast-mo, and then slow-mo. It didn't really work for me, and David Ayer films them in that handheld style, kind of similar to End of Watch. End of Watch was filmed documentary style, but I felt like that made the violence more realistic and more gritty and more intense in that movie. He didn't film it documentary style in this, but he did use handheld cameras in a lot of this movie. It wasn't that it was shaky, it just felt generic. I felt like I was just watching a discount version of End of Watch. Honestly, David Ayer has fallen so far from grace from the good old days before Sabotage and Suicide Squad. Like, those days of David Ayer, I think, are over, unfortunately, because he had that knack for capturing realistic grittiness in these type of movies, and he just doesn't have that anymore. And there's no character development, there's no tension, there's no suspense. It's very boring. It also lacks logic. There's logistics that come into play here. There's literally one scene, so after a shootout, one of the main characters, not Shia LaBeouf, the other guy, Bobby Soto, he's all bloody and stuff, and he's running down the street escaping from the enemies. He runs, and he steals the truck of a citizen and just pulls the citizen out of the car and just takes off in the truck like nothing happened. That citizen's not gonna run after him? Like, seriously, like, in a movie like this, I feel like that citizen would be like, "Hey, wait a minute, bud! Fuck you! That's my car! Get the fuck back here! What the fuck are you doing with my car?" None of that. There's a few more instances like that in this movie, and I'm just like, it has no logic to it. There's no logistics in this movie. I am sorry to say it, guys, but the trash collector, yes, that's what I'm calling it, the trash collector belongs in popcorn hell. Jesus, man. David Ayer hasn't made a worse movie, I don't think. Bright comes close, but this might be worse than Bright. What'd you guys think of the trash collector? If you guys did pony up $5 or $6 to rent this on VOD. I want your feedback. Drop me a comment in the comment section below. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. My name is Alex Madden, and I'll see you at the movies very soon, somewhere.